Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
I'm not really sure who's going to fill in for him, but there'll definitely be some changes, and we'll get it working this week. It's pretty key that we have a bye week. Let's get these 3 days to work on us as a team, as secondary, so we'll get more familiar with just learning our defense and game plan just for our offense, that whoever's filling in for him will be able to feel more comfortable.
That's Marlon Humphrey talking about how the secondary is going to have to make up for the absence of one Eddie Jackson. We'll have more on that in a couple of minutes. But first, welcome into Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm Gary Harris, and we've got Pepsi Max again this week. Max Taste, zero sugar. That's a combination that most of us can enjoy. I know I certainly can. Remember to pick up Pepsi Max or any of your great Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store. Rodney, Nick Saban is having a different schedule this week since there's no game, and he spoke to the media just moments ago following practice. Here's what he had to say about how the team can improve over the bye week.
I think that, there's specific things that we look at, whether it's how we play the run statistically against a certain front, how we play a coverage statistically versus, certain formations, what our efficiency is in the red zone, what our efficiency is on offense in the red zone. You can take just about everything that you have and you break it down and look at it and try to figure out how you can improve it, how you can coach it better.
All right, Rodney, getting better during the bye. It's critical for this team as they get ready for the stretch run. 2/3 of the way through the season now, 8 games, 4 games remaining before the SEC championship game if Alabama can make it. But so far, so good. Let's go back to Saturday. The latest win, a 33-14 victory over 6th-ranked Texas A&M. And this was an interesting game, Rodney. The defense was absolutely dominating for most of the first half because of the fact that A&M had done nothing on offense. It was 13-0. But things changed a little bit as you see another scoop and score there by Jonathan Allen when Adam Griffith missed a short field goal. Then A&M went down and scored before the end of the half. Alabama botched another opportunity to get a field goal before halftime. And then A&M scores. First possession of the third quarter, it was game on. It was 14-13 A&M. But from there, the offense really stepped up, started taking advantage of those red zone trips with touchdowns, and the defense really played well the entire game.
Well, I think it started early. Alabama really established the running game early, Gary. Drove down the field on their first 2 or 3 possessions. Didn't punch it in. Had to settle for field goals. I thought that was really big because anytime you don't score touchdowns, when you have an opportunity there, when you drive down to the 10-yard line, you're allowing a team like Texas A&M to stay in the game. And Texas A&M, you're right. They scored at 2 of the most pivotal times in the game. You're talking about the first 5 minutes and last 5 minutes of each half. Very pivotal. Those are momentum swing type periods of the game. And for Alabama to come back like they did after they fell behind 14-13, drive down, score the touchdown, and then they get the scoop and score, certainly was very big.
Real quickly, you said it all. A&M came in as the #1 rushing offense in the league. Alabama held them to 114 yards, while Alabama ran the ball for well over 200 yards. At the end of the day, that was probably the difference in the game.
Yeah, it really was. When you're talking about Texas A&M came in averaging 274 yards a game rushing, Alabama held them, as you mentioned, to 114. And A&M had a total of 278 yards.
Yeah, under 300 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing when you're talking about a Kevin Sumlin offense, one that had been very productive this year, that was averaging 40-plus points a game. I mean, what a defensive performance.
Yeah. Of course, the bad news is in that game as well, as Eddie Jackson lost for the season with a fractured leg, Rodney. He injured the leg on a punt return in the fourth quarter. You see it right there, high tackle, his foot grabbed into that turf. Now, he became the primary punt returner earlier this season. He already had 2 punt returns for touchdowns, and he's played at an All-American level at safety, so it won't be easy to replace his production, not to mention his leadership. Rod, who's going to have to step up here in the secondary?
Well, we've talked about that, and I said right after the game that I thought it might be Minkah Fitzpatrick, and I think he worked there mostly today, did not get to go to practice during the media viewing period, but that's the word, is that Minkah Fitzpatrick was kind of working in Eddie's spot today during that brief period. But Then this opens up an opportunity for Tony Brown. I mean, Tony was a fantastic player. He could possibly fill in at the star spot where Minka was, and we'll just have to go from there and see how it works out. But they certainly, those guys, have the ability to fill in those roles.
And who's been playing a lot more here lately has been Hootie Jones too. And I'm not saying he's going to step in and take Eddie Jackson's role, but he's a guy that now has some experience. You see number 6 right there working with Minka Fitzpatrick, and he's a physical presence back there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he is, and he'll certainly continue to play in some of the packages. It'll be interesting to see which direction they decide to go. But I think one of the things you have to remember, too, there you see Hootie stripping the ball on special teams against Arkansas, but one of the things you have to keep in mind is what a playmaker Eddie Jackson had become as a punt return guy. I mean, he really kept Alabama in the Ole Miss game with that punt return 85-yarder there right before halftime. So who takes that spot? Is it Trevon Diggs? Is it Xavier Marks? Do they put Calvin Ridley back there again? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he had a unique ability, a lot like David Palmer, to catch the ball with people right in front of him and make them miss
quick moves
right off the bat, and also to catch it. He didn't drop it. So yeah, it's going to be a setback, no doubt about it. Well, it's less than a week until Halloween, and we don't have to tell you that. And once again, we feature our Atrox horrific play of the game.
And now, the horrific play of the game, brought to you by Atrox.
And what else could we choose other than this? That's scary.
Wow.
Mack Wilson doing his best Reuben Foster and laying out Speedy Norrell. It was not ruled targeting. It was ruled a clean hit. Speedy had to go to the bench and shake the cobwebs out. Thankfully, he's okay. But that is our Atrox play of the week. And as I said, it reminded Jonathan Allen of another Alabama linebacker's big ability to put on the big hit.
Oh, I seen it. Yeah, I was right there. It was crazy. One thing I told the team before the game is just think about Reuben Foster his sophomore year and the impact he made on special teams. And I feel like Mack Wilson took that to heart, and he really showed that today.
Maybe he'll be the next Reuben Foster.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Still to come on Tighter Insider Television, Alabama picks up another tight end commitment for the 2017 class. We'll discuss a big recruit out of Texas. Plus, the Crimson Tide has the week off, but the team isn't just sitting back and relaxing. We'll talk about what the team needs to work on during its off week. Saban's already touched on it. And coming up, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. You see the information on your screen. Call us, as always, at 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. The email address is TITV@WVUA23.com, or you can reach us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. Tighter Insider TV will return right after this break. Blake Sims finished his Alabama career 2 years ago, but the former quarterback was back in a Crimson Tide jersey this past week. Now follow me. He was practicing on the scout team, emulating Texas A&M quarterback Trevor Knight, whom he played against in the Sugar Bowl. The player said it really helped them prepare for the A&M dual threat QB.
He's a great look. It's kind of almost the same exact type quarterback as Trevor Knight. And he did a real good job. He was throwing down the field and making really accurate throws that we usually don't see in practice. And I think it helped us a lot in practice and in the game.
Not a bad idea. And it was cleared by the SEC office, if anybody's sitting out there asking. Nick Saban said that today. Well, Alabama picked up another 2017 commitment earlier this week. Major Tennyson, a tight end from Bullard, Texas. It's the Crimson Tide's second tight end commit in the class, both from Texas. Rodney, what do you make of Tennyson? I mean, this is a guy 6'6", about 245 pounds, originally committed to Texas. Long, tall tight end that is a good pass catcher, but not a bad blocker either.
Yeah, he is. You watch him here, Gary, number 82 in this video. He's a guy that can get down the field. Miller Forrestall, maybe a little bigger, certainly has the ability not only to catch a football, line up and block. He's going to get a lot bigger. I think it's a big pickup. Alabama already has a commitment from a tight end in this class. Another Texan, by the way, from Waco, Kedrick James, a bigger guy, 6'6", 260. So these are really two outstanding tight ends to get into the same class. And, this guy, Major Tennyson, has all the qualities.
All right, Rodney, perhaps a future teammate of Tennyson's, as both of them stick to their commitments, is Vandarius Cowan, the linebacker out of Florida. He's one of the top commitments in next year's class, but the linebacker from Palm Beach Gardens was kicked off his high school team. According to the Palm Beach Post, Cowan was disinterested during a key game, talking to fans and eating on the sidelines, which you should never do. So his high school career is over, but he did tweet out that his offer at Alabama still stands. And you know, you expect that to be the case. He's a great football player. Made a bad decision, no doubt about that, but still coming to Alabama.
Yeah, and he was taken out, I think, Gary, after he had 2 penalties were called on him. And so, you know, there could have been a bit of certainly he was a little bit distraught about that and made an unwise decision there on the sideline. But, you know, he's an outstanding player, and I've really not heard of any issues with him previous to that.
Yeah, and you hope he learns from this. You know, no doubt about it. Now he can start working, getting prepared for college. It can't be any better than going into the bye week at 8-0. You play your games, you win them all. But you know Coach Saban, always room for improvement. Rodney, let's talk about this. We heard him earlier, but where do you think this team needs to work to improve during the off week? Maybe an area that you've seen where you say it may be lacking a little bit right there.
I think one thing, Gary, is certainly, if I look at it, I want to see the passing game become a little bit more consistent when you're talking about throwing it down the field. I think our Darius Stewart and Calvin Ridley have certainly been very effective as receivers, but you've got other guys. You know, they really haven't gotten Garrick Dieter in the mix. He's a guy that's drawing single coverage there as a slot receiver. He could be a great target in terms of making plays, and they just haven't had the opportunity to get him the ball much. I think that's one of the bigger areas offensively that they have to work on. You know, another thing, I certainly hope that Adam Griffith gets himself in a position where he feels really comfortable and consistent kicking the football, because you know what, those field goals could really become crucial down the stretch.
Yeah, the good news is he's hitting it well. It's not like he's not hitting the ball well, but he's missing some wide. And you know, let's be honest, at this level, anything under 40 yards, you need your kicker to make
it.
And you got to knock him through if it's a close game. So there is room for improvement with Adam Griffith, though. As I said, you see how high his kicks are. It's not like he is mishitting them, but you got to get him through the
direction
uprights.
is not.
Yeah. Maybe something to line up or something they can look at there. Well, still to come, the basketball season is getting closer, and the Crimson Tide had a party to celebrate. We'll hear from Avery Johnson what he wants from this year's team to make it different from this point last year. And next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, there's the information on the screen on how you can get in touch with us. Go ahead and dial in now so we can get you on 205-348-9882. We'll be back with more Tider Insider TV right after this. Well, it was a big party at Coleman Coliseum on Friday, and a lot of people came out. 3 weeks before the Alabama men's and women's basketball teams kick off their seasons with a doubleheader in Tuscaloosa, the two programs held their Superstore Tide tip-off for the fans. Avery Johnson's heading into his second year as Alabama's head coach. He said the biggest difference between last year and this year is how much better prepared he is. Last year, the coaching staff didn't have much of an idea who was going to even start on opening night. This year, it's a different story.
I already have the rotation, so the rotation is done. I already know who's starting opening night. I already have the rotation, so that's not a big deal for me now.
Now, Coach also said the players don't know the rotation yet because he wants them to keep working hard to earn playing time, but the coaching staff already has started game planning for its early opponents, and I think they're going to be pretty good. All right, Rodney, let's get to the phone lines. They're lined up. First up, David in Anniston. Welcome in, David. How are you?
Oh, man, we're doing good. I told you guys we got a special defense, and I know the two drives you were talking about, but look how the defense responded. I was just tickled to death the way the defense responded and, you know, held Texas A&M to, you know, a record low in rushing. And I just want to say this quickly, and we'll talk more next week. LSU, get ready because we love to stop the run. Thank you, guys, for taking my call.
Thank you, David. You did say that this defense was special, and it is. I mean, outside of those two drives, now you can't take them out of the game. A&M earned them. But, you know, we mentioned the less than 300 yards offense. Well, Rodney, the truth of the matter is they got about 150 of it on two drives.
Yeah.
Outside of that, Alabama really shut them down. And that does bode well because, you know, I don't care what Leonard Fournette did or didn't do last year. This is a new season, and Alabama's run defense is going to be tested a week from Saturday night. I don't care what happened last year.
Yep. They're going to be really highly motivated, and I think part of last year will play into that. I think Leonard Fournette's embarrassed about that 31-yard rushing performance. He's heard about it all year. Think about this. This guy was not only going to New York to be one of the five for the Heisman,
he was the
winner.
Yeah.
I mean, he was projected as the winner already, and that
night,
destroyed his entire season.
Sure did. They were 7-0, remember? LSU was 7-0
Yeah.
going into that game. All right, let's go. Stay in Northeast Alabama and talk with Carl in Gadsden. Welcome in, Carl.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing well.
Hey, I heard what y'all was saying, man. My question is about Griffith, man. Our kicker. Do you think it's a lack of concentration? Or you think maybe we need to try to get him back to the center of the field for his kicks, or what?
Well, I think they're probably going to look at everything during this bye week, Carl. I do. I think they're going to look at, is he more effective off the right hash, the left hash, the middle of the field? I mean, they got all the analytics on it. They'll break it all down. They'll work with him because, again, it doesn't seem to be a case of him not hitting the ball well, but he's missing them. Yeah. And, I think they'll look at everything, don't you?
Yeah, I definitely do, and that would include the hold as well.
Yep.
I mean, we don't know sometimes if maybe the hold's not there, Carl. I mean, that certainly could impact it significantly. There's no question about it. But, yeah, I think that they're certainly going to work in every area in terms of trying to figure this out and get him consistent.
We do know this. He's capable. That we know. And he's done a good job with kickoffs, too. All right, let's go to Walker County and talk with Sammy. Sammy, welcome into the program.
Thanks, Gary. You and Rodney, appreciate taking the call. And I just had since it's bye week and statement, just see what y'all thought about that. I believe the group that has improved the most since the start of this season is our offensive line. And I believe the best freshman young player, including Jalen Hurts, that we've had performance-wise, has been Jonah Williams. What do y'all think?
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. Rodney and Sammy, he's been great. And I'll tell you something else. Shane Taylor had the concussion, and Lester Cotton stepped in there at right guard. And I don't know that he's going to give it up,
job.
Rodney. But, they're playing really good football right now.
Well, Lester has a lot of ability, and he's going to be a great player. And I agree with him. Jonah Williams might be the best true freshman in the country right now. Gary, he might be one. He could push to be an All-American as a freshman.
Yeah.
I don't mean a freshman All-American.
You think about the job they had ahead of them going into the A&M game. When you got Hall and Garrett, those two guys, they're a load. And Alabama held up pretty well.
Absolutely.
Pass protection, too, not just in the run game. All right, when we come back, more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, give us a call right here on the program. Phone lines are open right now at 205-348-9882. We'll be back with more TITV on a Tuesday evening in Tuscaloosa right after this. Welcome back to TITV alongside Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris, and let's get right back to the phone. Sam is with us in Marion County. Welcome into the program, Sam. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine, guys. Appreciate you taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Gary, was the licks that Wilson dropped on those guys, was it as loud in the stadium as it was in
Yes,
recliner?
it was. We heard it in the press box. I mean, Rodney and everybody in the press box, you did a whoa.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to ask about targeting. I don't know. I know, I thought the shot on Jalen Hurts was targeting. The SEC office said it wasn't. They said this one wasn't. I do want to say one quick thing on that. It was an awesome hit. I know you want to make the game safer, but I think there are some that are trying to legislate injuries out of the game. It's never going to happen. You saw what injuries are a part of football. I do want safety. I do. We're going to look at the lick again, Rodney. But at the same time, big hits are part of the game. I don't want to get it to the point where people are afraid to hit people. Yeah. And, I just wanted to say that. I mean, they're doing everything they can to protect safety, but injuries are going to happen in football. And to think that you can get rid of injuries, you could play flag football and somebody might still tear up their knee.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way the game is played.
Yeah. And again, I think when a guy's running the football, he's going to get hit. Yeah. I think you've got to have almost a sense of intent. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know how you judge that, but I certainly think Mack Wilson was making a football play. Now, on the flip side of that, number 6 for Texas A&M, you could tell he intentionally.
Yeah, and he got tossed.
Yeah, he did.
I think you're right. The intent has to be a lot of it too. But yeah, to answer your question, Sam, everybody heard that lick. I mean, that was like that. We saw it earlier. That was like a couple years ago when Foster hit Fournette. It was something else. All right, let's go to Coker and talk with JR. JR, welcome into the program.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
I was wanting to ask you and Rodney, what do you think about the matchup on LSU, being that they have more of the size type team that we used to play, and now that we're kind of in the fast mode, keeping up with the different type of offense.
Yeah.
How is that going to create a problem with Alabama, or do you feel like it's a
Yeah, JR, we know where you're going with this, and Rodney, I'll chime in too. I think that they're not as big as they once were. At the same time, it's not like they're small. I mean, Deron Payne, Dalvin Tomlinson, they got Josh Frazier, they got Davis, the big freshman from Meridian, if they need to bring him in. I know where you're going with this. I think they'll hold up fine in the interior of the defensive line. I think they can still have enough big people and enough of them that they can rotate them in and out. Yeah. Doesn't mean LSU's not going to gain some yards running the ball. A&M got 114, but I think they can still stand up against the run. I do.
Oh, definitely. I think that. I didn't know if he was talking about Alabama's change in offense going against LSU's
No, I think
defense.
he's talking about more about Alabama's defense holding up against that running attack.
Yeah. Again, that's an outstanding running game when you have those kind of running backs. Not only Leonard Fournette, but Darius Geis, the quarterback, Danny Etling's done a really nice job in terms of, he's making some throws. He's taking some pressure off the running game. So certainly it's going to be a challenge. But, yeah, physically, I think Alabama can certainly hold up to that. I mean, really, when you look at it, you're talking about Jonathan Allen, Dalvin Tomlinson, Deron Payne. Those are three of the best defensive linemen in the country. They're big, physical guys. I mean, Allen's a 300-pounder. Tomlinson's over 300, and we know about Deron Payne. He's a 315-pounder. He's a dominant player in the middle. So I think this is really a challenge for LSU's offense against this Alabama defensive line. Now, when you're talking about numbers, if LSU can run the ball, certainly they're going to, Alabama's defensive line in terms of stamina, that's the key.
Yeah, and on the other side, Alabama's going to run the ball. They've run it against everybody they've played this year. All right, still to come, young trick-or-treaters got a chance to show off their Halloween costumes for Crimson Tide athletes last night. We'll have the details. You're watching Tider Insider TV. We'll be right back after this. The 14th annual Halloween extravaganza featured young ghosts, goblins, and princesses, as well as Alabama student athletes at the Hank Crisp Indoor Facility on Monday. Many of the athletes dressed up too, and each team had a different activity for the kids to play. That is an awesome thing they do over there, man. Look at those young ones. They love it. Good stuff. All right, no picks tonight with the bye week. Our picks will return for the LSU game next week. But as always, whether there's a game or not, we are outfitted in beautiful shirts and ties from the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant, where we're both sporting the black tonight. I guess Halloween right around the corner, right? Go back and see Alex Gatewood, Rush, and all the good folks there. Or you can shop online at locker-room.biz. I mean, you'll feel like $1 million and you'll look like it too when you go to the Locker Room. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have a replay of the show tonight at 10:30 following the news, or you can catch it anytime on WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching Tider Insider TV. LSU Week next week. We'll see you then. Have a good night.